Skills pay the motherfucking bills. I can't recall where I heard this phrase. It's a crude phrase at best, but it's the absolute truth. In 1992, I was a senior at Howard University, and I got a job selling cars part-time at Brown's Arlington Nissan in Virginia. I received a tip from a friend of mine who I had met a year earlier while working in the mall at a clothing boutique. He was a sales associate at a local dealer and was making $8,000 to $10,000 per month. He explained to me that it was a good gig and that I should consider working at his dealership based upon my sales skills. I did consider it, but just not working with him. You see, Jonathan was the reason why I started dating a DC police officer, which ultimately led to harassment and property theft by the said officer. Let me explain. We worked together at a mall in Virginia. One evening after a shift, he offered me a ride back into DC because he was going to see his girlfriend. She lived nearby Howard University's campus, where I lived. He explained that he would stop by her house first. Upon arriving at her apartment, he asked me to come in to meet his lady. She lived in a high-rise building with front door security. He pushed a button to ring her apartment several times, but no answer. He then knocked on the door. The security guard was in view. He then began shouting, "You know who I am. Please open the door." The guard ignored him. I said to him, "Maybe she isn't here. Let's go." After several more attempts of knocking, the guard came over to the door and told him that he was under instructions not to let him in due to a recent altercation with his girlfriend. To my surprise, Jonathan reached behind his back and pulled out a 9mm pistol from underneath his shirt. As the guard retreated in fear, Jonathan said, "I bet you'll let me in now." I again said, "Let's go, man," and we began walking to his car. As soon as we got to the car, we were surrounded by 3 to 5 police units with guns drawn on us. "Hands on the car," they shouted. We complied. They searched Jonathan and found the gun. It was a 9mm pellet gun. And just like that, we both were arrested and jailed. To my surprise, at the police station, I was questioned about the incident by a beautiful but stern female officer. I told her the full story of what happened and then jokingly told her that I only got arrested to meet her. She laughed and said, "Boy, do you know how old I am?" What she said was cute, but she didn't reject my bluntness. Early in the AM, hours after being placed in a holding tank, to my surprise, she came in to get me. She said that they spoke with the security guard at the building, and he confirmed that I had nothing to do with the incident. I was free to go. She said that her shift just ended and offered to give me a ride. Now, continuing with the auto sales story. I took the job at Brown's Nissan. On my first day, David, the sales manager, told me, "Grab a desk and read brochures on the car lines." I didn't give it any thought. I simply sat at the nearest desk. Moments later, a sharply dressed, briefcase-carrying gentleman stood in front of me and said out loud, "Hey, David, who is this motherfucker here at my desk?" I looked up at him, and before I could say anything, David said, "Hey, Cheeks, can you move to another desk, please?" He then proceeded to come down from the sales tower to address the gentleman and myself. David said in a professional, low tone, "AJ, this is Chico Warren. He's our new green pea, fresh rookie." And AJ replied, "I don't give a fuck who he is. Keep him out of my desk." I moved my things to the desk directly behind AJ. I watched him open up his briefcase, lay out his daily work plan, and then paged a lot attendant to his desk. The attendant, Buck was his name, walked up. AJ threw him his keys and told him to have his car cleaned and ready to go at 7 p.m. He also handed him a few dollars as well. He then swiveled around to me in his chair with his arm extended to prompt a handshake. He said, "Hey man, my name is Andrew Jones. but people call me AJ. It's nice to meet you. I said likewise. He then explained to me that he wasn't trying to be an asshole towards me, but he had to remind others of his status within the dealership each day. AJ was a seasoned vet in the car business. He had set sales records all around DC, Maryland, and Virginia. Wherever he worked, he was the top salesman. And for a small dealership like Brown's to get AJ, they had to give up a lot of control. He was excused from normal and customary salesman duties. At that time, it was customary in the car business for all salespeople to unlock the inventory prior to opening, as well as lock them all at closing. He was also never expected to attend mandatory sales meetings, but when he did, it was pure fireworks. He never let the management team feed us any bull. Even when the owner stopped in, he always made his way to AJ to pay his respect. AJ delivered each month, dominating the sales leaderboard with the most cars sold and the highest gross average. He consistently made between $12,000 to $15,000 each month. AJ was probably in his 50s, and I was 22. I paid close attention to him, but never asked for help. I struggled, but I managed to earn a paycheck. I went from making $1,200 part-time at the mall to making $3,000 part-time at the dealership. AJ saw my check stub and laughed out loud. He showed me his $15,000 check stub, and my jaw dropped. He clearly had the skills that paid the bills. He acknowledged that I had potential, and I could make the same money if I committed to make some changes. I asked him for help. First lesson, he only wanted me to have an understanding and to make a promise. He wanted me to clearly understand that I should use the car business to fuel other ventures in my life, and to promise to never let the money get me stuck in the business. This man poured into me for 9 months, providing me with this formula for success. I quickly became the number 2 salesman behind him, and my income shot up to $7,000. He took me to his personal tailor in Columbia, Maryland, and I bought my first $800 suit. Now remember, I'm still a full-time student at Howard. To cap things off, he explained to me that the top salesman had to have an impressive whip. Shortly thereafter, I bought a slate gray 300ZX sports car with removable T-tops. My education was complete. As with all things, the winds of change fell upon us, and we all entered the next chapter of our lives. The dealership changed management, AJ moved on to another dealer, and I graduated and moved back to Oregon. Law school was in my future, but not right away. So I had a year to stack some dough. I hit the ground running, armed with the education I received from AJ. I became a force at one of the largest Toyota dealers in Oregon. I kept my promise as well that I made to AJ. I used the skills that he taught me to build a modest real estate portfolio that spanned across 3 states and also create multiple entrepreneurial endeavors. Today, I'm currently rebuilding my life after losing my business of 10 years to COVID. And even though I have 2 educational degrees, I'm using the skills AJ taught me to relaunch my life at 54. Thank you, AJ.